Hello, and welcome to Learn English with Ruth podcast. I am excited to be here to, present the first episode as Learn English with Ruth, because previously we were called the Vonshare podcast, and so there was a switch, and there is the need to be uniformed across borders for my brand Learn English with Ruth, where I teach students on how to improve on their English and so on and so forth. So on today's podcast episode, I'll just go straight to the point. We're going to be looking at top speaking skill tips that you need. Please do ignore my voice. Oh my god. Do I have a sore throat? No, obviously not. I'm not under the weather in any way, so don't worry about that. So today we're going to be talking about top speaking skills tips that you need as an English learner. But before then, just a little background on what speaking is. Oh my god, my voice is going up and down. So sorry about that. Okay, so what is speaking? Now, speaking can be quite difficult to explain. Maybe the thing is, what speaking is from, mentally. You just know, okay, and when you see someone speaking, you know that the person is speaking. But to maybe use words, the adequate vocabulary to define what speaking is, can be really a trouble or a pain in the neck. So yeah, for me. So what is speaking? Speaking simply means, when you deliver language, or the delivery of language through the mouth. So to speak, we create sounds using many parts of our body, including the lungs, the vocal tract, the vocal cords, the tongue, the teeth, and the lips. Now, in my pronunciation course, I teach you the physiology of speech formation as well as the organs of speech. The thing I'm just saying is can be well explained, in that course. So if you want to register for my pronunciation course or my English course, do well to do so. Just send me a voice message on this podcast, or you can just check me out on any of my social media platforms: Facebook, British English with Ruth, and Instagram, Learn English with Ruth. Okay, now it's important to also know that speaking is the second of the 4 language skills. These language skills are listening, speaking, reading, and writing. So in our own language, speaking is usually the second language skill that we learn. First, we listen. Just take example from a child. First, a child learns to listen. From there, he tries and learns to speak, and then tries and learns to read, and then tries and learns to write, and that's the circle. So I don't think you just start reading without listening or speaking, except in very different or exceptional cases. Now, when do we say we have a dialogue? Now, a dialogue means you're having a conversation between you and another person. That's what it's called, a dialogue. It can either be you planned the dialogue, or it's just like something that just happened circumstantially. You didn't really plan it, really. And then when you also speak with people, it can either be a formal conversation or an informal conversation. It being a formal conversation would mean that it's like a kind of like an office conversation, or it's with people that are respected. There's this very formal atmosphere around the conversation, maybe your office, in your school, before your lecturers, during a presentation. So during those kinds of conversations, obviously you would never use things like slangs or use things like very familiar language with people in those kind of conversations. On the other hand, we have informal conversations. Informal conversations are, conversations that you have with your friends, your families. Informal conversations are, informal speakings is typically when you talk, or you have dialogue, or you have conversation with your family, your friends, your age mates, your classmates. So it's very, very informal, very jokey, very, there is laughter in the air. You can use slangs. You can say, how are you doing? Yeah, what's up? Things like that. But you would never use this kind of words or slangs or whatever in a very, formal conversation or formal speaking. So this means that in your speaking, and when you speak, the kind of people you talk to or who you're talking to is, determines the kind of words that you use. And so we're going to be looking at tips that are going to help you improve, tips that are going to help your skills as a speaker, really, whether it's an informal conversation or it's a formal conversation. So here are my top tips, that would help your speaking. Number 1, listen first. You have to learn to listen first. I think more often than not, and maybe we don't even do that, you don't do that because you want to, but then when we talk to people, there's this thing in us that wants to listen to respond. You're not even listening though, you're not even listening to the person, you're just nodding or just there and waiting to pounce on your answer. You're waiting to pounce on the person. You're waiting to say, yeah, this is what I want to say, or this is my mind, or this is what I think. But then to have a good conversation and to improve your speaking, you have to learn to listen. Now, what does listening mean? Listening means that when you're in the conversation, you're not trying to think about what to answer. You're not trying to think about your response. No, you're focused on the person talking. You can hear every word coming out of his mouth clearly. You're not trying to try to look for a place to cut the person off, to try to say, no, I don't really think you're correct here, other stuff. So when you're in a conversation with someone, and to improve your speaking skills, you have to learn to listen. You have to focus first on listening and then focus on responding to the person. Now, number two is quite scary. Because many times when we're in a conversation and you're a little bit shy, you have the temptation. Would I call it temptation? No, it's still temptation. You have a tendency of looking away, looking to the sky, looking to the ground, looking up and down, looking everywhere. But then to make the most out of the conversation, and while you speak, make eye contact. Now, this can be scary. I used to sing in church, and then during those times, I got tips from the internet and YouTube, if you're scared or when you're singing or when you're talking or when you're having a presentation, what you should do is just look up to the sky or look to the ground or look at your shoes. I think looking at your shoes is the most outrageous one of them, because I'm like, why would I look at your shoes? You're talking to people, and people do not bite. Really, people do not. I think this is one that we really need to understand, that people do not bite. And well, depending on the crowd you're before, because some people can bite. I am kidding, with literally. Okay, I think some people can bite, no jokes though. But then hopefully your crowd is not a biting crowd, or not an eating crowd, or not a vampire crowd. Vampires are a myth now, aren't they? Make eye contact with the person or the people you're speaking to. Even if you're nervous, don't try to look to the ground I'm looking for something on the ground. Who is here? Oh my god, let the ground open up and let me enter. I think those are the sort of thoughts that cross our minds when we're having conversation with people. But then one of the ways to help you not to be nervous when you're having a conversation with people is you have to dare it. You have to be bold. The thing is, the more you look on the ground, the more you look to the ground, the more you look at your shoes, the more you would look at your shoes. You understand what I mean? So you have to just brace yourself up and tell yourself, okay, people don't bite, and I just want to have a conversation, let's say with a stranger. You just want to have a conversation. You just want to speak to the stranger. You go walk up to him and say, hello, my name is Ruth and nice to meet you. What's your name? And have the conversation looking at his eyes or looking at his face. I think if someone walks up to me and he's scared and he looks at his shoes, I'll be like, oh, he's not serious. He's a joke, really, personally. So I would say when you want to have conversations with people, or you want to talk with people, or you want to speak to people or with people, and physically too, look at them face to face. Make sure you make eye contact, and maybe it's a presentation that you're having. Make sure you practice well enough When I was in uni, maybe first year, doing my communications degree, I had some really awkward and very not nice experiences where I would be, I would have a presentation, and because I did not practice or recite things I was supposed to recite or read the book well, and then I was like looking everywhere, forgetting everything I was supposed to say. I was sweating, I was nervous, I was almost crying. I was almost shitting my pants, and oh my God saved me that day. But then make eye contact. Eye contact just like presents you as someone who's sure of themselves. It just gives you the air of confidence, and not just looking at your shoes or counting your fingers. That's the worst. So please make eye contact. Okay. Now, number 3 is, now when we speak or during conversations, we transition from one word to the other, from one sentence to the other, from one expression to the other. Now, do well to learn transitional phrases and useful expressions, and avoid saying things like don't say all that. And I also, speaking on this podcast, have to take the correction, because I'm like, and those things just send a very bad message across. So learn transitional phrases and expressions. They will keep your listeners' attention, really. So transitional phrases like, however, we were not able to get what we wanted to get, or but we'll go on from here, or although. Now, number four, use your gestures appropriately. So when we speak, we have our hands that can aid us, with conversations. You use your hands to demonstrate. You can use your legs, your head, your body, parts of your body to demonstrate. Now, if you're in a foreign country, it's very important that you take time to learn the body language of, those citizens, because just because in your country you maybe wink or you wave and it means something okay, it doesn't mean that in another country it means the same okay thing, really. So use your gestures appropriately. And now, one thing I've learned over the years, especially when I was, when I'm doing presentations, now your gestures can help you release the negative energy or the nervousness, in your soul, in your body or in your mind, wherever it is. So make sure you just use your hands. You can demonstrate, point, nod your head. Don't just stay there like a statue. Like people just fold their hands. Just look to the audience. They just stand and they do not move. And I'm like, what is your problem? Don't you ever move? Are you a statue or are you a tree? Really? Okay, so use your gestures appropriately. Now, this moves me to the next one, which is, yes, when you want to speak, you can be nervous. You can be like, oh my God, what am I going to say? I don't know enough English. Or, oh my God, I said the same thing yesterday. I have to say it again today. The thing is this. Now, have in your mind that when you speak to people, more often than not, they are not looking for mistakes in your English, except people who are very, 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 very bad people, really. So when you walk up to me to maybe ask me a question, ask for directions, I'm not looking to laugh at your English. I'm not looking to say, oh, he's French or he's Indian or he is Ghanaian or something, or he's Togolese or he's from the UK or he's American. All those things do not matter, really. So when you are having conversation with people or you're speaking, relax. Just calm down. Now, in my country, we will say chill. Take it chill. Calm down. Calm. Nobody is pursuing you. Calm down, brother. Just calm down. Just relax. You don't have to speak English perfectly. There is nothing like perfect pronunciation or perfect grammar, a perfect vocabulary, really. all we have everywhere in the world, and I can assure you, even though there are levels of expertise where people like speak better than some other people, but there is no perfect. And I just say, stay on your lane and learn as you learn and grow as you grow. So don't compare yourself with other people. There's nothing like perfect English. There's nothing like perfect pronunciation. All those things are just a myth, you know. Okay, so the thing is this, that even native speakers are also nervous sometimes when they speak, and especially if you are speaking to a group that you don't know and they're just frowning at you and they're just looking like, what's she going to say? Just say it and let me go. The thing is, another thing I like you to know is, many times, maybe not all the time though, when I have a conversation with you and my facial expression is maybe bland or like I have a smirk on my face, just try to ignore it and just go on with your conversation, because if you don't, you just get stuck there. So number 6 is, don't say sorry. Now the English have this I won't call it a flaw, I'll just call it I think a tradition or something that they do. When you're like, oh, I'm sorry, come again, sorry, I didn't hear what you said, sorry. So when you say sorry, the thing is, if I'm having a conversation with you and you're like, sorry, what I expect next is something that is going to be poor, or that you are having problems with speaking properly, you know what I mean? So it's very important, really, to believe in yourself. Believe that you are a strong English speaker. You don't have to be a native to speak well. You don't have to be a native to, you know, to sound well. You know, I'm not a native really. I'm just someone who loves English. So you don't have to be a native to speak well. You don't have to be a native to sound extraordinary. You can be a non-native and polish up your English so well that when people listen to you speak, they think that, hey, she's a native, but she's not. Okay, so believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. This cannot be overemphasized. Believe in yourself. Now, if you make a mistake, because you will make mistakes, there is no one who is mistake free. We all are people who make mistakes, and I think, why do I sound a little bit Irish? And I think the more you accept the fact that you're going to make mistakes, the better it is going to be for you, because you know that what do you do when you make mistakes, mate? You correct yourself and you move on. Life goes on. Okay, now the next one is, be yourself. Be yourself. Now I know we have role models, I know we have people we look up to, I know that we have people that, you're like, oh my god, Ruth, I'm listening to your podcast right now and I am totally in love with how you speak. Oh my god, you sound so well. Oh my god. Or maybe it's a movie character, you know, at a time in my life, and I still do it till now. When I watch a movie that I believe the actors spoke so well, what I do is I just go on Google and I check them out, check movies they've done. I did that for Ella Balinska. She acted as Jane Kono in Charlie's Angels, the one of 2022, I think, or 2021. I'm not really sure. I also checked out Hermione Granger, Emma Watson. She acted in Harry Potter and a couple of other movies. You know, so I just checked them out. But I'm not a native, mate, and I can't really just start forcing myself to speak exactly like them. I'm just going to be myself. Now, as I'm speaking, if you notice that sometimes my accent can change a little bit, I'm not like, it's not like I'm doing it on purpose, like it's happening like that. And like as I grow, as I improve, my accent gets better. But I would just have to be myself. When I'm on camera on YouTube, I am myself. I'm not trying to be like someone else, really. So be yourself. Be yourself, really. Let your personality out. Let your personality out. Like, just let people see the kind of person that you are, and they're going to love you for it. And if no one out there wants to like your personality, they can keep their likes to themselves, really. I think that's straightforward as it can get. Okay, so let your personality out. Let people enjoy you speaking. Like, be yourself. be yourself. You are who you are, not because you speak English or French. You have essence apart from how you sound. You are not how you sound. So when you speak, ensure that you just be yourself. You just sound yourself, really. Okay, so the next one is this. So the next one is to take note of your pauses and your pace. Don't speak too fast as if you are running from someone, and don't speak too slow as if you are a robot, really. So watch your pauses, watch your pace. Don't rush over what you're saying. I think it's just cool to just calm down and just let your ideas out. Just talk to the person. Don't rush it over. Don't be too slow. Just have a very consistent pace. Take occasional pauses as you speak. And then the last one is practice pronunciation. Now, this includes stress, that is word stress and sentence stress. One of the most important aspects of understanding each other's, spoken English is through the natural rhythm of our words and sentences. So native speakers don't think about, word stress, they just speak. But people like us who learn English, we have to learn word stress, we have to learn sentence stress, and there is totally nothing wrong with learning, really. I am a big advocate. I am a very giant advocate for learning and becoming better, really. So practice pronunciation. On my YouTube channel, I've done, a series of videos where I taught people, on how to improve the pronunciation, give them tips, give them, things that I think, okay, yeah, this is the way you can improve on your pronunciation. This is the way you can go. So you can check my YouTube channel, Learn English with Ruth, on YouTube. And also, you can get a friend on social media to practice with, or you can enroll for my pronunciation course where I can teach you, I tutor you one-on-one on how to improve on your pronunciation. And I think at this junction, I'm going to draw the curtains, of this episode. I hope you learned a lot today. We looked at what speaking is and the top, speaking skills, tips that you can use to improve on your speaking. I hope you learned a lot. Don't forget to follow this podcast, Learn English with Ruth podcast, and I'll see you in my next episode. Bye, guys.